Some really good advice there from Sarah Pennells. Kylie will be here at the top of the hour. That is it from me, but do stay with us here on BBC News.
Live from London, this is BBC News. After 2 weeks of heavy bombardment, the Israeli army says it's completed its operation in Gaza's largest hospital, leaving the site in ruins. Shock results for President Erdogan in Turkey's local elections. The main opposition party claims its largest victory in almost half a century. And Germany partially legalises cannabis to tackle the black market trade. Coming up, we have a special report. Hello, I'm Kylie Pentelow. Welcome to Verified Live, 3 hours of breaking stories and checking out the truth behind them. We start with the latest from Gaza. After 2 weeks of heavy bombardment, Israel said it has completed its military operation in and around the biggest hospital there, and all troops have left the area. During the operation at the Al-Shifa hospital here in northern Gaza, the IDF says it killed several militant commanders and insisted it was preventing harm to civilians. Ezra Yalcin from the BBC Turkish service, thank you very much. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. Now, energy prices in England, Wales and Scotland have fallen to their lowest level for 2 years today as the regulator's new quarterly price cap comes into force. A household using a typical amount of energy will see their bills fall by around £238 compared to the previous cap, while the price drop will affect 29 million households. Standing charges, that's a fixed daily charge covering the costs of connecting to a supply, have risen to 60 pence a day for electricity and 31 pence a day for gas, although they vary by region and supplier. Energy prices in Northern Ireland are not controlled by the price cap. The government provides support directly to customers. Well, despite this new support for other parts of the UK, charities say customers still owe billions of pounds to suppliers.
Really open questions right now.
Absolutely. OK, thank you very much for joining us. Peter Vilker, a journalist for Politico, thank you. And you can keep up to date with all our stories on our website, but do stay with us here on BBC News. This is BBC News, the headlines. The Home Office reports a sharp rise in migrants crossing the Channel in small boats as Labour slams the government's plan to stop the boats. This April Fool's Day, can you tell the difference between a fake and the real thing? We take a look at the appeal of deception. And singer Billie Eilish hits out at the practice of releasing multiple versions of vinyl records because of the environmental impact. Now it's time for roundup of the sport from the BBC Sports Centre. Here's Ollie Foster. Hi, Ollie.
Hello there, many thanks. Yannick Sinner's brilliant year continues. He's celebrating a third title. He's also up to number 2 in the world rankings behind Novak Djokovic. Lots more, of course, on the BBC Sport website or your BBC Sport app. A full fixture list across the Football League this afternoon. Leicester, they're back on top of the Championship after beating Norwich. But will they stay there? Ipswich and Leeds are playing later. We'll have an update for you later as well.
Ollie, thank you very much. Now, just before we move on, I want to take you to these pictures of the White House, where the annual Easter egg roll is taking place on the south lawn there. It's been going actually since 1878, where children are invited to take an egg and roll it with a wooden spoon along the lawn there. So we will bring you more from there a little later and hear a little bit more about that very Easter-based tradition there. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. Now, the Kremlin has dismissed a media report that links a Russian intelligence unit to so-called Havana syndrome, a mystery illness which has affected US diplomats. Investigation by the insider Der Spiegel and CBS alleges that Americans were targeted with directed energy weapons. One victim of the syndrome, an FBI agent, told 60 Minutes about her experience of being hit by a powerful force at her home in Florida in 2021. Now, at the White House, there is also an egg-themed day there today. It is the annual Easter egg roll. You can see there that there is a marching band we're expecting. We are also expecting Joe Biden to appear. We caught a glimpse of him a little earlier, but he is expected to come out with First Lady Jill Biden. It's Jill Biden's theme of education, education, which is the theme of this year, as has been the last few years, and people are invited. It's actually a ballot that people have to take part in, and it goes on for 12 hours, we understand. So we will bring you a bit of that later in the programme, as well as we'll be speaking to somebody who has been to that event and knows all about it. But yeah, it's very cute, children rolling Easter eggs across the lawn there with wooden eggs. You can keep up to date with all our stories on the BBC website and also on the BBC app. But for now, stay with us here on BBC News. Live from London, this is BBC News. Most of Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital is left in ruins after a 2-week raid by Israel's military, which said it was targeting a Hamas base there. A lower energy price cap comes into force, taking bills in England, Wales and Scotland to their lowest level in 2 years. Germany partially legalises cannabis. Authorities say they're trying to tackle the black market trade in the drug. And a tradition that's lasted since the 1870s, the White House Easter egg roll gets underway. Hello, I'm Kylie Pentelow. Welcome to Verified Live. 3 hours of breaking stories and checking out the truth behind them. Well, let's start with the latest from Gaza. After 2 weeks of heavy bombardment, Israel says it has completed its military operation in and around the biggest hospital there, and all troops have now left the area. Much of the site of the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City is now in ruins following the 2-week assault. Hamas officials say dozens of bodies have been found at the complex. David Wallace-Lockhart there in Glasgow. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. Now, Easter festivities haven't finished just yet. It's time for the 144th annual White House Easter egg roll. It's a tradition that's lasted since the 1870s, where children push brightly coloured hard-boiled eggs across the White House South lawn with wooden spoons. Well, this year's theme is education, with the lawn transformed into a school community full of fun. Now, this will be President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden's third time of hosting the Easter festivities, with approximately 40,000 visitors expected and 64,000 eggs rolled, hunted and eaten. We are keeping an eye on the White House as we speak to see if Jill Biden and Joe Biden appear at any point. It is a little bit rainy there at the moment, but I'm sure they're still having a great time. We can speak to someone now who's been. It's Judy Kurtz, in the know columnist for The Hill. So what's it like there? Education and making sure that all those children there who are part of the Easter egg celebrations are also getting a bit of education while they're having fun. We will keep across that here on our programme. Don't forget to keep up to date with all the latest news on our website, but stay with us here on BBC News. This is BBC News, the headlines. Most of Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital is left in ruins after a 2-week raid by Israel's military, which said it was targeting a Hamas base there. Shock results for President Erdogan in Turkey's local elections. The main opposition party claims its largest victory in almost half a century. And a lower energy price cap comes into force, taking bills in England, Wales and Scotland to their lowest level in 2 years. And Germany partially legalises cannabis to tackle the black market trade. We have a special report coming up. But now it's time for a look at the business news with Egon.
Thank you so much, Kylie. And we start in Turkey, where results in local elections have dealt a surprising blow to President Erdogan and his governing AK party. The main opposition party is claiming victory after voting in 81 provinces. The economy was a major issue for voters, with inflation close to an eye-watering 70%. Earlier, I spoke to Dr. Ibrahim Ünal Mis from Başakşehir University and a former economist with the central bank. I began by asking him what the results mean for Turkey. David Udell there. In other news, manufacturing activity in China expanded for the first time in 6 months in March. That's according to official figures. The news offers some relief to policymakers, but the crisis in the property sector still remains a major drag on the world's second biggest economy. Hong Kong saw a 14% drop in cargo shipped through its ports in 2023 as it lost out to rivals in mainland China and Southeast Asia. It's the biggest percentage drop among the world's biggest ports, according to the Drewry consultancy. Hong Kong used to be the busiest port in the world, but has now slipped to 10th place. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. Thank you.
You're watching BBC News. The Kremlin has dismissed a report that links a Russian intelligence unit to so-called Havana syndrome, a mystery illness that's affected US diplomats since 2016. Investigation by The Insider, Der Spiegel and CBS alleges that the Americans were targeted with directed energy weapons. One victim of the syndrome, an FBI agent, told 60 Minutes about her experience of being hit by a powerful force at her home in Florida in 2021. You're watching BBC News. Now, energy prices in England, Wales and Scotland have fallen to their lowest level for 2 years as the regulator's new quarterly price cap came into force. Prices in Northern Ireland are not controlled by the price cap. The government provides support directly to customers there. Well, despite this new support for other parts of the UK, charities say customers still owe billions of pounds to suppliers. Also this week, One National Insurance contributions will drop from 10% to 8%. If all that is added together, the government says thousands of households will be around £3,850 better off in the next year, although some critics say that doesn't take recent high levels of inflation into account. Here's Business Minister Kevin Hollinrake on BBC Breakfast. Peter Ruddock there. Now it's time for a look at the weather with all the details. Here's Darren Bett. Live from London, this is BBC News. There are reports of an explosion near an Iranian consulate building in the Syrian capital, Damascus. Most of Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital is left in ruins after a 2-week raid by Israel's military, which said it was targeting a Hamas base there. Shock results for President Erdogan in Turkey's local elections. The main opposition party claims its largest victory in almost half a century. Scotland's new hate crime law comes into force, but could it harm free speech, as its critics claim? And Germany partially legalises cannabis to tackle the black market trade. We have a special report coming up. Hello, I'm Kylie Pentelow. Welcome to Verified Live, 3 hours of breaking stories and checking out the truth behind them. Let's just update you on that breaking news. We are getting reports from Syria that there has been an explosion which appears to have affected the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus. The semi-official Iranian news agency Tasnim is quoting unnamed sources saying that 5 people were killed in the consulate building. They claim that the blast was the result of an Israeli airstrike. Now, Iranian state media says several diplomats were killed. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. Let's bring you an update on that breaking story that we had at the top of this hour. Reports from Syria that there has been an explosion which has appeared to have affected the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus. Reports in Iran suggest that a senior figure in the Iranian Revolutionary Guards was in the building in Damascus and is among those killed. And according to the Reuters news agency, he is understood to be Reza Zahidi, who is the Palestinian division of the RIGC, and it appears that he is among those killed. So just to update you that that was the blast in the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus. Sources saying that 5 people were killed in the consulate building, and they're claiming that the blast, the Tasnim Iranian news agency is claiming that the blast was the result of an Israeli airstrike. Now let's just give you an update on the top story that we have been discussing in the last hour. Those reports from Syria that there has been an explosion which appears to have affected the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus. The Reuters news agency is saying that suggesting a senior figure in the Iranian Revolutionary Guards was in the building. We'll bring you the latest on that within the next hour. You're watching This is BBC News, the headlines. Reports in Iran suggest a senior military official is killed after an explosion near an Iranian consulate building in the Syrian capital, Damascus. The Home Office reports a sharp rise in migrants crossing the channel in small boats as Labour slams the government's plan to stop the boats. A lower energy price cap comes into force, taking bills in England, Wales and Scotland to their lowest level in 2 years. And medical students take their skills into primary schools to show children how to do basic first aid using teddy bears. Okay, it's sport now, and for a full roundup from the BBC Sports Centre with all the details, here's Jane Dougal.
Hi there, Kylie. Well, we start in the Championship because Leicester are back at the top of the table, for now at least, after a 3-1 win over Norwich at the King Power Stadium. More details on all those stories on the BBC Sport website. That's it for now, though. Kylie.
Jane, thanks very much. Now, the number of migrants crossing the channel in small boats has risen sharply in the first 3 months of the year. Almost 5,500 people made the journey. That's an increase of 43% on the same period last year. Labour says the government's plan to stop the boats is in tatters. Well, my colleague Simon Jones is in Dover and has the latest. Well, I just want to bring you an update on that breaking news that we're getting out of Syria. the explosion that's happened in Damascus. It appears to have affected the Iranian diplomatic mission in Damascus. Well, Iranian state TV are now confirming, this is coming from, I should be clear, Iranian state TV, they are confirming that the name of the Revolutionary Guard commander who was killed is Mohammad Zahidi. That is, as I say, from Iranian state TV. We were hearing earlier that 5 people were killed in the consulate building, and the Iranian news agency Tasnim is claiming that the blast was the result of an Israeli airstrike. Iranian state media saying that several diplomats were killed in that strike, and we are now hearing from Iranian state TV, they're confirming that the name of the Revolutionary Guard commander who was killed was Mohammad Zahidi. We will of course bring you the latest on that throughout the day. Let's just bring you up to date with our breaking news this hour. And we are hearing that the White House is aware of those reports of the Iranian consulate in Damascus being hit by Israeli airstrike. Just to update you, the Iranian state media is reporting that a senior Revolutionary Guard commander, Mohammad Reza Zahidi, was among the dead there. And we've seen these pictures here which show smoke and dust rising from that building there, which is next to the Iranian embassy. We will, of course, have all the latest on that on BBC News. Anita will be here with The World Today in a moment. That is all from me. Thank you very much for watching. Stay with us here on BBC News.
Hello there. After a very wet March for some, we've got more rain to come